So let's look at another worked out example of logit models, multinomial logit. And this time around we are looking at extramarital affairs, and R comes with a variety of packages. There are roughly 2,000 packages written in R above and beyond the basic statistical analysis capabilities. And there's a book called Applied Econometrics in R, and it comes with its own package called AER. I click here and I see the data set here. I double click on the data set, it's selected here, and I can click OK. But let me just click on help on selected data set to see if there's metadata with this. So I click on it, and here you go. So it's infidelity data, and it's also known as the FAIRS affairs, and it's a cross-section data from a survey conducted by Psychology Today in 1969. That was the year to do these surveys. What has happened is that they collected data from 601 individuals, and they collected information on 9 influences. And if you were to pay attention on these influences, we can actually come up with some interesting questions and answer. Now, for the person who did this survey already knew what questions they were interested in answering, and therefore the questions they asked were based on the hypothesis they were about to test. So first question they asked is affairs, which is a numeric variable. How often engaged in extramarital sexual intercourse during the past year? And pretty innocent question to ask, if you ask me. And the underlying question, the variable or the word is extramarital. Right? So basically, you already know that these individuals are married, because there's no point asking them about extramarital affairs if they're not married. There's a gender factor indicating gender, male or female. Then there's a question about age. And the age variable is sort of categorical, which is age in years, which is 17.5 for those under 20, and 22 for those between 20 and 24 years old. So what they have done is have taken the middle value and then assigned that as the age. So you can use age as a continuous variable. So 27 is for those who are aged between 25 and 29. So age is sort of a numeric variable for each individual. In the survey, they asked, are you between the ages of 50 and 54? And if somebody said yes, they coded it as 52. Okay. Then there's a question of years married. How long have you been married, right? And if someone is married for 3 months or less, it's coded as 0.125. If someone is married between 4 and 6, then it's coded at 0.417, which is basically taking 5 divided by 12. There are 12 months in a year, and the midpoint between 4 and 6 is 5, so 5 divided by 12 is probably 4.417. And so on and so forth. When it's between 1 and 2 years, the midpoint between 1 and 2 is 1.5. So they asked, how long have you been married? And one of the tick points was between 1 and 2 years. Now, so they coded it as 1.5. We can also use this variable as a continuous variable. The children variable is a factor variable, right? It's a factor, it's a categorical variable, and it's coded as such. And I hope I remember explaining this factor variable in a second when we are running this. Then there is this variable called religiousness. How religious are you, right? And they are interested in saying if people who are religious-minded, are they more or less or more inclined to have an extramarital affair, right? And the assumption could be that those who are more religious-minded perhaps may have fewer extramarital affairs. I don't know. But here's the question. So if you are anti-religious, it's 1. If you're not at all, 2. If you're slightly religious, 3. If you're somewhat religious, 4. And if you're very, very religious. Education, it's again a numeric variable. If you did the grade school, that is grade 12, then 9. If you are a high school graduate, which means you completed 12 years of education, then it's 12. If you have some college education, they coded it as 14 years of education. If you are a college graduate or university graduate, then you have 16 years of education here, and some graduate work 17. So you would be coded as 17, right? You have some graduate work. You haven't graduated yet, but if you were to graduate, then it would be 18 years of education, right? And someone with a PhD or MD, medical doctor. Again, it's a numerical coding according to some hauling sheet classification, reverse numbering. We'll just keep occupation out of our analysis. And then here's the more interesting variable, rating. Are you very unhappy in your marriage? 1. Somewhat unhappy, 2, average, 3. But how would you know you're average? You know, it's like if you go on a scale of 1 to 5, your neighbor is 4.5, I'm 3.2, so I can call myself average. I mean, this is again arbitrary. Right? Are you happier than average? 4, and are you very happy? 5. So you know, you move from 1 being honest and 5 being totally false and liar. Right? So, and. Bill Green, who's a professor, I think, at the Stern School of Business in NYU, he writes this book called Econometric Analysis, which is the standard text in econometrics at the doctorate or graduate student level. And Bill Green's book, they've quoted here as 2003. The latest edition is 2008. You can actually see some other material on his website. This is the book, Econometric Analysis, 5th edition. And the book, the paper was published in 1978, A Theory of Extramarital Affairs in the Journal of Political Economy. This is metadata. Before you do any analysis, before you run with any analysis, make sure that you actually have this information on each and every variable. What is also needed, and it's not here, is the information on missing values. If there are any missing values, are they donated as 99? Which is a very idiotic way of, like, age, missing value, 99. You compute the average, everybody is much older in your sample than any place else. Right? If you don't know that, exclude all records with 99. I mean, number of children, 99 seems to be a very good code for missing values, right? But for age, I mean, there are many centurions running around. So 99 is basically just one step. Now, so you could already see that, you know, rating how happy you are in your marriage. Average is basically not knowing how much happy you are by yourself. You need to know how much happier other people are, and then only you can say, well, how tall are you? I'm average, right? Okay, I know how tall people are because I don't go out and ask, right? But, you know, I know that I'm comfortably placed in an elevator and uncomfortably placed in a plane, so I'm average. That's my rule of knowing where I am on the scale. But marriage, how would I know? I mean, I have to knock on everybody's door and say, how on a scale of 1 to 5, how do you see yourself? And they say, well, 2.5, 3.2. I guess I'm 3.2, I'm average.